has a soft start or a slow start. And what that means is, instead of when you pull the trigger, it going from 0 RPM to 21,000 immediately, it spools up. So it's not as aggressive and it's not going to jump out of your hand. So I like to use these routers, especially with students when they're first starting out, because it's not as aggressive when you start them up, okay? Also, the nice thing about this is on the bottom you have a plate here, so if you are using smaller diameter router bits like this one, this can be placed in here without a problem. If you have to use a larger bit like this one, what I can do is you have these two green tabs in the bottom here. I can take this, pull these two tabs, and it'll allow for me to remove this plate. Okay, now it just opens up the diameter significantly. Okay, now this happens to be a 1/2 inch collet, so I can put a 1/2 inch bit inside of here. So I can take my bit, I place it, let's see, this one's a little tightened, and it shouldn't be. We should never put a tool away that is tightened. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead . It's really tight. So I bring this in, I have it touched, then I pull it back out 1/8 of an inch. The nice thing is it has like a ratcheting head to it, so I don't have to use two different wrenches and won't have to worry about smashing my hands. What I can do is when I'm taking the bit out, you have a little picture here that shows an arrow going down. That means when you're removing the bit. So like if I hold this down, it locks the spindle, and then I can go ahead and loosen this up. So I take this, then we go this way with it to loosen it up. If I want to tighten up the bit, I push this side and tighten the bit down, okay? So now this is set as far as it's tight inside the collet and I don't have to worry about the bit flying out, okay? Now because the diameter is relatively large, I need to adjust my speed, okay? And like I said with all other tools inside the shop, we always want to adjust our speed control before, or make any adjustment on the piece of equipment or machine that we're using before we plug it into a power source. So I can go ahead and set these different depth stops to whatever I need depending on what the job is at hand. So like if I wanted this to go to this depth, what I can do is I can adjust this by loosening this up. If I want to go a little bit deeper, I loosen this up, I pull it up. Let's say when I go another 1/4 inch, I lock that down. Then I loosen up the handle, and I can push it down a little bit further, lock this in place, and now I can take a look at it along the plane of the base to see if the depth of the bit is where I want, or the desired amount. And let's say this is it, okay? So now I have set up my depth stop to always be the same. So when I loosen up this handle, the base drops. Okay, now if I was routering something, I can go ahead and let's say it was in the inside of a box or something like that. I can have this bit in the inside of the box, start up the machine, plunge the bit down by pushing down on the machine itself and the handle here and here. Once I get it down to where it touches here, touches on the stop, I can tighten up this handle as I'm routering, and I always want to router in a counterclockwise motion, okay? Unless I'm in the inside of a box or the inside of a surface, then it's the opposite, okay? We always want to router in a counterclockwise motion, unless we're on the inside of something, then it would be clockwise, all right? So I've set this machine up. This is a Speedomatic. This is a 3.5 horsepower, or 3.25 horsepower router. This is used typically for some of our larger jobs. We would always have a fixture that would allow for us to place the router inside that fixture, or we're moving it back and forth or along a curve. That's very, very specific for what we're doing. This router is not used that often. It is only used on big jobs that we have to repeat something over and over and over again, like building cabinets or something like that. We'll set up pieces where you slide them in a fixture. than run the router to cut typically like dados or something along those lines. Okay, so these are the different routers that we use inside the shop. Okay, so I'll be right back and we can see the next part of this video where I talk about some very specifics about running one of these machines. Okay, all right, bye-bye.